everyone, I am Jaya Sethi. Today I am going to teach you about digestive system in the human body. Right. Now some foods they are fun to eat like ice cream, burger, pizza, right? Whereas some foods like vegetables, fruits, or we can also include non-veg items like meat, chicken, as they are rich source of proteins, vitamins, and minerals, right? But have you ever wondered what happens to the food when it enters into the human body? Yeah, exactly. Our digestive system starts working on it. So, what is the main function of the digestive system? Its main function is to break down whatever we eat so that our body can absorb nutrients from it. Now, how it do? It do it with the help of enzymes. It breaks down large insoluble food molecules into soluble food molecules so that it can be easily absorbed into the blood plasma of our body so that it can be easily transported to the places in the body where it is actually needed. Right. Now let's discuss the process of digestion in detail. So this process, it begins with the mouth. As we intake the food, this mouth is known as the buccal cavity, right? It includes teeth, tongues, along with the saliva, right? So immediately when we take food inside the buccal cavity, our teeth comes in the progress, right? How? It starts chewing the food, right? It means crushing and grinding of food occurs, right? And it ends up in the small intestine. Now, let's discuss the two types of digestions first, right? So, what are the two types of digestion? So, the number one is mechanical digestion, right? And the number two, it's chemical digestion. Number one, that is mechanical digestion. It means normally with the help of teeth, we are simply crushing and grinding the food. Now, when we discuss about chemical digestion, it involves properly enzymes, right? Enzymes properly acts on the food. For example, pepsin, it acts on the proteins and right, and it converts it into the peptones and proteases. Right. Similarly, other type of enzymes acts on different foods and break down it into the water soluble substances. Right. So this is how the digestion starts in the human body. Right. Now, as I told you that the digestion, either it's mechanical or it's chemical, both starts in the mouth, right? In our mouth, saliva is present, right? Our tongue, which is made up of collagen, which is a protein, and also calcium, right? Which is a mineral. So our tongue, it helps in mixing the food with the saliva. Now, what is the role of saliva? It makes the food soft by lubricating it, right? Saliva is what? It is just 98% water, which is also having some of the electrolytes, or we can say some of the antibacterial substances, compounds, or mucus along with some enzymes. Now, which enzyme is present in saliva? The enzyme which is present in saliva is salivary amylase, right? Now, basically, salivary gland is present, right? The salivary gland has three parts mainly. Number one is proteoid. Number two, submandibular. Number three is subbinagular, right? So these three kind of glands are present in our mouth, which releases the saliva and which is having salivary amylase, which acts on the carbohydrate and breaks it into the starch, right? Now what happens? The food, after chewing it, the tongues pushes the food into the esophagus, right? Which is the food pipe. So the length of the esophagus, it can varies from 10 centimeter to 25 centimeter. That is depending on the age of the person, right? So now what happens? Our esophagus shows peristalsis, right? What is peristalsis now? See, now what happens? Let's consider that this is the esophagus, right? This is a food pipe. It just shows contraction and relaxation of its muscle so that the food can easily go to the sac-like structure that is known as stomach, right? As the as the food is already lubricated by the saliva, so it easily get into the stomach through the process of peristalsis performed by the food pipe, right? So this is how tongue helps. Now, you know that the food pipe and windpipe, they are very near to each other, right? So what happens, how the windpipe is protected? So the epiglottis is there, which covers the trachea, which is the windpipe, so that the chewed food doesn't go into the windpipe, otherwise it will choke, and which is very dangerous. Now, as the food, it reached to the stomach, you can see here that it's the sac-like organ present, right? Its capacity is 1 liter basically, right? So now stomach, it holds the food, right? And it also acts as a mixer and a grinder. But some of the powerful enzymes along with the acid, that is HCl, is present in the stomach. Now, just think, hydrochloric acid, it's the concentrated acid, right? So why it's not burning the inner lining of the stomach? Yeah, exactly. It doesn't burn because mucus is present in the stomach, which is present along the inner lining of it, right? So it protects the inner lining of the stomach from the hydrochloric acid, right? Now, what is the main function of hydrochloric acid present in the stomach? So basically what happens, it activates the enzymes. Which enzymes can you tell me? Yeah, it activates pepsinogen, right? And convert it into the pepsin. Now pepsin acts on the proteins. On which it acts? It acts on the proteins. Our main diet is mainly protein, carbohydrates, right? And some type of fat. So these 3 components are included in our food, right? So in stomach, mainly digestion of proteins takes place, right? As HCl already converted pepsinogen into the pepsin, now pepsin will convert protein into the peptones and proteoses, which are easily water soluble, right? Now, next is proenzyme, that is prorenin, is converted into renin by HCl again, right? Now, what is the function of it? Now, casein, which is a milk protein, is converted into peptides also by this renin, right? Which is obtained from the prorenin, right? So this is how all this digestion occurs in the stomach, right? Now, see, there are many parts of the stomach. The first part we are having is the cardiac part. Now, cardiac part, cardiac, the word related to the heart, right? So the part which is close to the heart is known as the cardiac part. So basically this part is known as the cardiac part, right? So now the opening of the esophagus, this is the esophagus, we can say the food pipe, right? It's the narrow opening which like pushes the food into the stomach by peristalsis, as we already discussed, right? So the opening of the esophagus to the stomach is mainly controlled by cardiac sphincter, right? So we will discuss it in detail one by one. So now see, mainly what is sphincter here? At this time, at this moment, sphincter is present, which controls all the things related to food that is entering into the stomach, right? Now, the second part is dome-shaped part, which is known as the fundus. What it is known as? Fundus. So, which is the dome-shaped part? Yeah, exactly, this one, right? This is the dome-shaped part, which is known as fundus, which is mainly filled with air, right? Next is the body of the stomach, right? This is the main part of the stomach, as all the food is stored in it, right? And all the mixer and grinder and all the action of the HCl on the enzymes and converting the proteins into proteoses and peptones, all these occurs in the body of the stomach mainly, right? I hope it's clear to you till now. Yeah, okay. So now, after this, some significant parts are there. Number 1 is liver. Number 2 is pancreas, right? Now liver, it secretes bile, right? It secretes bile juice, right? Now, what is the function of the bile juice? It mainly cleanses and purifies the blood coming from the small intestine, right? The second thing is that the bile juice, it helps in the, we can say, digestion of fats, right? It helps in the digestion of fats. It helps in converting into the fats into fatty acid and glycerol, right? Now, the gallbladder present in the liver stores the bile juice, right? You have heard sometimes stone occurs in the gallbladder. So we have to remove the gallbladder. So it's advised to the person that to eat less fatty food, right? Because now the bile juice is not stored in it. So it's very difficult to digest fatty foods in that case, right? So now after that, the gallbladder secretes the bile juice into the small intestine, right? Because already we discussed what happens in the stomach. Now we have moved on to the small intestine, right? You can see here that small intestine is there. It is a coil-like structure, right? You can see here that it's the coil-like. So mainly the bile juice, it's secreted into the small intestine now, where it helps in the digestion of fats into fatty acids and glycerol. We have already discussed. Now, can you tell me the color of the bile is due to which pigments? Can you think? Yeah, it's due to the bilirubin, right? It is due to the bilirubin. Okay, so this is the main factors due to which the color arises in the bile juice. Now, can you tell me what is the length of the small intestine? Yeah, the length of the small intestine is 10 feet, right? But it is present in the coiled form, right? So it's just present behind the stomach, right? And it's occupying the maximum area of our abdominal cavity, right? So the complete small intestine is coiled, but the main thing is the maximum absorption of the food occurs in the small intestine. But why? Because due to its increased surface area. How the surface area is increased? Due to the presence of villi, right? Due to the presence of villi and microvilli, they are just like, see the fingers. They are the finger-like projections which are present on the inner lining of the small intestine. Is that clear? Now, about the pancreatic juices. Pancreas, it also releases the pancreatic juice, right? So what is the role of it? It's having so many enzymes. The number one is amylase. It converts starch into maltose, right? Already some of the carbohydrate is already digested into the, like in the mouth only, right? Rest over, it gets digested with the help of amylase as it converts starch into maltose, right? After that, maltose, we are having trypsinogen, which is converted into trypsin with the help of enterokinase, right? All these are present in the pancreatic juice. Either it's amylase, either it's enterokinase. Further, trypsin converts chymotrypsinogen into the chymotrypsin, right? Which is more water soluble, right? So that it can be easily absorbed. Now, till now, all the food, it's digested and absorbed, right? Maximum, it's absorbed. Remaining 1-2%, 3% food is like absorbed into the large intestine, right? So now large intestine, so basically large intestine has 3 parts, right? You can also see in the diagram, the first one is colon, right? You can see here that this is the colon. Second is rectum. This is the rectum, okay? And the third one is cachium. So now what happens in small intestine? So we are having 3 parts, we already discussed. So cachium, it's a slat-like structure present where the large intestine meets with the small intestine. You can see the points where it's meeting with the small intestine. Now colon, it's made of 4 parts, right? So basically like ascending colon, descending colon, as you can see that it's moving down, up, right? According to that, its name is given ascending colon, descending colon, transverse colon, sigmoid colon. The next one is rectum, which is the opening to the anus. Now what happens in the large intestine is all the bacterial action on the leftover food particles occurs here, right? Remaining mineral water or certain drugs, that can also be easily absorbed into the large intestine. This is the last step. After that, no absorption occurs, right? Now, the mucus, which is secreted by large intestine, it helps in holding the waste products, right? It helps in holding the waste products, or we can say the waste particles, right? All the undigested food, unabsorbed waste particles known as the fecal matter, right? You know the fecal matter, and then it is passed on to the rectum, right? You can see here rectum, where it is temporarily stored, and then through anus, it is removed out from the body. This is how we intook the food, and this is how the food is removed, right? So this is the big process, right? It's very easy to intake the food and it's very easy to excrete out food, but the process involved in both these steps is very long, right? I hope you understood the process of digestion. So now in the next class, we will discuss some another topic. Thank you so much. Have a great day.